Hello, 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 everybody. This is EGBE MBIWAN MONJIMBO coming to you as usual on VOSAWORLD Radio. And I know this is going to air eventually on YouTube as well. And I am delighted, I am thrilled and very grateful to have the guests that I have today. It's an honor for me. I never thought it would happen. Never in my wildest dreams, I'd say. But I have a guest with me today, and I'm going to go ahead and ask him to just introduce himself. So who will guests on the Musing show be listening to in the next hour or so?
My name is NJOMO Kevin. I'm a journalist, retired from public service. I worked with the Cameroon radio television for more than 35 years. I started in 1979 to be very precise, and I went on retirement in 2009. Working both on radio and television. Today, I am a consultant and I have a communications outfit, and I do what I'm doing like I'm doing now.
Right. It is a pleasure to have you on. And you said you began working in Cameroon in 1979, but I'm pretty sure you were doing something before then even. So where were you before that time?
Well, I started primary school in 1958, went to primary school in Kumba, went to Sase, Bishop Rokan, University in Yaoundé, studied in Nigeria. And after that, I worked with the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, first of all in Lagos, with the Federal Radio Corporation, FRCN, Lagos, and later on went over to Calabar. At the time, it was Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, worked in Calabar, and later on, the name was changed to Cross River Radio. I stayed there. And in 1979, I was called back home to join Radio Cameroon at the time. And I started in Boya.
Yes, that is where some of us first heard the voice. And you see, that explanation you have given explains why you when you got here to Cameroon, you hit the ground running. You didn't sound like a novice at all. Anybody who listened to you knew you had what it took in you already. You did not come like a novice, like a JJC, as they say, prepared. The way I got connected with you lately is because of the yesteryears kind of things that you've been doing lately since you came out of went to retirement, which is something that is after my own heart because I like old stuff. I've always been an old school kind of person, and I was pretty much addicted to the radio growing up as a child. So that's how I was able to listen to your programs. And even before you, back in the Radio Yaoundé days, way back when there was luncheon dates, there were the Paul Codes, there were the William Esapebongs, there were all those Peter Isuka who's been there forever and ever, and Radio Boya with the Marina Mundo cameras and all those names, Zachary Nko, and all of those wonderful, wonderful names. So what are your memories from those days that you worked, be it in Boya or in Yaoundé? Can you hear me?
I had very fond memories, especially when I started in 1979. You might like to know how I even got there. Because when I was working in Calabar, NBC Calabar beamed very, very far across many West African countries. And Calabar was a darling station to many persons in Cameroon, especially in the English-speaking part of Cameroon.
Definitely.
So I was running a sports program, and in that sports program, I'll be talking about football in Cameroon, teams like Canon, Tonnerre, Prisons, PW Kuma, and it startled many Cameroonians how someone could be in Nigeria and have such intimate knowledge about football in Cameroon. So they were listening and getting the name, but it wasn't really. It was still, since they didn't know my background as such, they were still doubting what kind of a person could be this. So I was already, the name was very familiar to especially sports fans in Cameroon. And it got to one point where people started writing. There was listeners' viewpoint that was run by Boya. And people started writing there, say, what of this Cameroonian here? Can't he come back to Cameroon? That is all how it started. And I was very conscious of it because I was speaking Radio Boya in Calabar very well. So I used to listen to tidbits and so on. So I got the messages. And let me tell you the wonderful coincidence that a classmate of mine with whom I went to Sasa in 1965, who is also a journalist, was at that time the station manager of Radio Boya, Radio Cameroon Boya station. So the pressure was like mounting on him. You are a classmate to this guy. Why don't you talk to him to come back home? And so he did. He contacted me, and it was like something I was waiting with my arms all open because I was getting to a stage.
I think you froze for a minute. I think you froze for a minute. Let me see. Can you hear me back? Can you hear me now? Or is the...
Hello?
Yeah, now I can hear you back. You were saying you're getting to a stage where you... Oh, I think I probably lost you. Okay, you're back. You're back.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can
yes.
Hear you. You were saying your classmates had called.
Okay, so yes, I suddenly called my attention, and I quickly said I was ready to come back home, and it was an application. In about 2 weeks, I was brought back home, and when I came home, they secured that I shouldn't go to any other station but to work in Boya. So I took up that 1979 in Boya, and before I actually arrived, it had been carved out that I was getting into the sports service, whether I wanted to start from anywhere. So I came and got into the sports service, and now the point of reference, those Cameroonians who had been listening to me, and they all say, oh, that Radio Calabar man, in fact, that is what even made me very prominent because it was just like a continuity. So when I started on Radio Boya, it was like, this is a man who had been listened to for so long here at home. So, yes, and 3 months after that, I was appointed chief of programs in Radio Boya. And well, I put in all I could with the collaboration of my colleagues, the Mary Cameras, the Vukuka Nintos, the Vimomi Quiz, and so on. John
all of those
Wendes, Watomsi, Jean-Marie, and we all, Angel Tabe, we all collaborated, and lots of collaboration. Radio Boya became the base where a lot of programs were produced in English, and it was on network. Listeners' Viewpoint was network, Youth Corner was network, quite a good number of those programs. Those big time voices that you knew when you were growing up, like Mary Camera, like
just mentioned
call them all. They were all in Boya. So for about a year or two, a lot of the major programs in English emanated from Radio Boya. But let me tell you something. Apart from the sports that brought me onto the scene so fast, I thought of what could be done on the radio in Pidgin English because Pidgin was very popular in broadcasting in Nigeria. A lot of the satirical programs, a lot of the comedies, and so on was in Pidgin. And let me just run one for a second. You know, the way they were putting the adverts, there was this popular tomato puree with pepper in Nigeria. They called it Toma Pep. And I would listen, and I get amused at one point. Now, what to make mommy, papa, a lick mommy in bottom pot like this? And the answer is Toma Pep. So I thought of a way I could introduce programs in Pidgin. And I want to tell you, Mama, I introduced a program, Think Twice, which was a satirical program. You know, it was commenting and picking on all social habits. Check 2 times before you do something.
Okay. Kind of like an awareness thing for the public to follow. Oh, you are frozen again. I think this is the network issues that we're having at the beginning before we started the show. Let me see if I should go ahead and pause while we wait for you to come back on. Okay, let's viewers, listeners, we'll go ahead. Okay, no, you're back. You got frozen a little bit. You're talking about, I think, tomato pep. You're talking about commercial that was going on in Nigeria.
Brandon,
that happened. Okay,
come.
All right, dear listeners and viewers, we had to have a little pause to adjust some technical things. You know, it's not easy. Yeah, he's coming to us all the way from Boya, I believe, or is it Limbe?
It's Boya.
from Boya, and you know, this it's not easy. The technical difficulties there are many, but he's back with us, and he's going to resume from where he was talking about the introducing Pidgin to the whole show, the whole equation at Radio Boya. So please go on, sir.
So I started a program in Pidgin English. That was a kind of comedy, satire on social habits. You know, what we considered wrong, and it was for correcting society. The name of that program, the title of that program was Think Twice. I did it with Amos Evambe. And what we usually did was go around town, looking at, observing people, and talking about the things that were going on. And it helped because wherever people saw us, whether drinking sports or so, people became very alert. And we were very sure we were impacting society with that program. So that was a particular one, a remarkable one. And then there was a program I started, Common Mistakes in English, and it had a very serious impact because so many colleges around the FACO, the Southwest, put pressure on me, and I came out with an edition, Common Mistakes in English. And then the sports program, like we said. Remember, I also said that Boya was like the base of producing many programs in English across the nation. The network, the day we were producing that program in Boya, in fact, it was network, especially Youth Corner, Listeners Viewpoint. These were two very epic programs that were produced from Boya. So that was what actually marked my early stage in this in Boya, 79, 80, 81. And because of that, we were also very prominent on luncheon days.
Correct.
On luncheon days, it was the coordinator on Yaoundé always ensured that they called Boya, of the English-speaking Cameroonians, and satirical slot on luncheon day where I was talking about things happening left and right, especially in the Southwest region, and some which I got from the Northwest region. So it was a very, 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 very active early stage in broadcasting in Cameroon. And I want to tell you that it paid off and paid off enormously because in the history of sports reporting in Cameroon, I was one of those who were taken because sports reporting at international level for Cameroon was always known to be the job of those who were either in Radio Cameroon, Yaoundé, or Radio Cameroon, Boya. But by God's grace, I came on the scene. There was always Gregory Alem who was coming from Douala. Of course, Douala and Yaoundé had the scenes on. And within a few years, I started covering international matches from Boya, 83, 1984, and it spread very easily because it went up to Bamenda. It submitted today. Peter Afu was reporting from Bamenda. So that was one milestone, I believe, in my career because we started a new trend that reporters could be taken from a regional station to go out and cover international assignments.
Correct. So you are by all means a trailblazer, a pace setter in many of those things. And those of us, I happen to be based in Yaoundé. That's where my parents were. That's where I grew up. We would listen to the radio, and then the certain times and certain programs that we would tune to Radio Boya to get those programs from there. It's what we used to do. For example, tidbits. We were sitting there in Yaoundé, and you don't know any news. The news that concerned us that we cared about came out of Radio Boya. So especially when the Radio Cameroon had French and English programs, when the French programs came on, we would actually be looking to Radio Boya to get our news, to get the tidbits, to follow the sports shows and everything there. You've mentioned some names that bring so many memories that are not even thought of in a long while, like Amos Evambe, you just mentioned there. That's a name that was a household name. All of the names that you mentioned there are names we grew up hearing and being even able to hold makeshift microphones. You hold a spoon, your mother's spoon in the kitchen, and you're talking into a microphone and pretending to be one of you reporting on something. So that was really a solid base. There was no TV. We should remind people there was no TV then. So it's not as if you had your time divided between TV and radio. It was radio. It was all radio. So we all had our transistors, the little radios in our homes, or radiograms, as they call them, where we tuned, you kept that needle on Radio Boya so you could go and listen. And we were disappointed. And,
and if you're talking about tuning, it takes my mind back to one thing. You must have been very used to this jingle for the change of frequency, because at that time broadcasting was mostly, on short wave and medium wave. And since Radio Boya was on short wave, it would go on 75 at one time and go on 49 at one time. Yes. And that change of frequency was always very popular. You was
like a xylophone kind of thing. It was a xylophone kind of thing. We all knew those things. Look, even the luncheon date jingle from way back in the 70s, it went tune to luncheon date, tune to luncheon date. Luncheon date is an educative program, and for all information and for all entertainment, tune to luncheon date.
Information.
There you go. Our national program. Look, I think it was like Nancy Asukwo whose voice was on that jingle. Those were things that we heard, and we knew we could tell the time from hearing a certain jingle. It's 3 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock or it's 6 o'clock. And so, when did you move from Boya then to Yaoundé?
In 1986, I moved. I was appointed deputy head of programs at the national level station in Yaoundé. Mm-hmm. So I went over to Yaoundé in 1986. After a year, I worked with Bekindive as my boss. He was the head of programs. I was the deputy head of programs. And after 1 year, she was moved to another service, and I became the head of programs. And while I was in the programs department, I was always solicited in the sports department too. So while I was in the programs, I ran some sports programs. I also went out for international assignments and some other assignments in the nation, within the national territory. I would leave from Yaoundé, come to Buea to cover the mountain race, for example. There will be a football match of international encounter in Douala, and I would move to Douala to cover those matches. So I was in between the program service and the sports service, both on radio and on television. And of course, you might like to find out one of the programs that, of course, like you said, about Luncheon Date. When I went to Yaoundé, principally, I took over the coordination of Luncheon Date. And also, there was this, there were some other animation programs that we ran on. So it was quite very exciting in the programs, sports program, until at one time I was actually moved to the sports department, and it kept evolving.
Right. I always used to wonder about the programming. They were very interesting shows that were both entertaining and informative, and with little else. It's not now that you can actually pick up your phone and Google anything. We really depended on the radio to know what was going on in places, the information about whether there's a cholera outbreak somewhere, what we should be doing. All of that stuff we got from the radio. So I'm still very much a radio fan. From the days way back in Radio Cameroon, where you had Songs of Faith with Mrs. Frida Kima, you had, I think, Points of View, and all those little shows. They even used to have some skits, some like drama shows that I think there was Peps and Chair, and some other ladies and gentlemen who were doing actual radio theater. You don't see anybody, but you hear. And
Magnibo was a popular one to have there. For those purposes, with Paul Corday,
right?
They were all, and Rahel Fomu. They were, those were all names that put radio drama, on track.
Yes, Gewi Asunkwan was another name that we used to hear. Those are the names that you hear, that we used to hear, and just you never saw the person.
Samuel Ngu.
Yes. Before the Cameroon calling team came along, you had the Sam Luvala Fonkens.
Yes.
There's a time before then for our entertainment, those 70s with the Bee Gees and all, there was Eric Chinja and Willie Chindo, and the women.
And Miombo would run disco time.
Exactly. So those are the things that we grew up on. I'm sure our kids will be listening to this or watching this and going, what are they even talking about? But it's very precious and dear to us. But that is like the timeline of our childhood. That's what you knew. You 3 o'clock news. That's the radio news. You came to listen, to see. You heard the jingle, and then this is the news brought to you by so and so, and you listen. That's how it worked back in the day. And so, if we come on now to what you're doing now, since you left, you retired, but are definitely not tired, because you do a lot of stuff. I was saying at the beginning that how I got in contact with you now lately was because of this old timers kind of music. You actually have a band that actually does the music of yesteryears. So can you tell us a little bit about this band? Because I'm very interested in the music part of it, because it's the kind of music that I love, that I cherish.
The genesis of this band, in 1967, when I was in secondary school in Sussex College, we were privileged that the Reverend Fathers who were running the school, the Mill Hill Fathers, they had a very, very global idea about music, not just the marching band, but they also had the idea of orchestras. So while in Sussex, there were instruments for the marching band, there were also instruments for the orchestra. So we were initiated into it very early. Our first band, we set it up in 1967, and this band grew and matured. By 1968, we started testing our grounds with schoolboy gigs on Sundays, tea time dances. In 1969, we had the first one in a residential hotel in Kumba, or some of the names, very exciting. Dr. Colonel Michael Musa, late Kenneth Elad, Zambo, Chambo, Grace Ozim, and so on. Sebastian Fomanka is right there out in the EPA. He's out there in the US with you, Michael B. Boom, and so on. So we took off 1969 up to 70 when we were leaving secondary school. We continued. But I tell you something. During that period, we were playing music. Music for most of the people was something very ridiculous, because most people would call whoever went into music a band boy.
Gary Boy. Gary Boy.
Yes, Gary Boy. And it was very strange. This was a trend in society. Most of the people who were playing in orchestras looked like people who were baseless. So this was a cultural, it was a cultural line of thought that anyone who played music must have been would be considered a Mr. Nobody. So those of us who were playing music as at that time were very typical Gary Boys going to school. But then you like to know that some of us carried it along up to university. Our former Minister of Communication, Mokokombojo, he played for the university band. The former government delegate of Kumba, Nokombele, who played for the university band. The rector of Yaoundé University too, Cheminkwa, he played for the university band. The famous Keme Pezok, and you can name them. Dr. Antone, who is in charge of the neurological center in Yaoundé. So quite a good number of us continued with this venture. After school, when it came to working life now, something came into my mind. When I did a census of all of us who played music, the Jalaquans, who played music from secondary school to university. I found out that most of these people were very, very high standing people in the society, Remuna and the rest. So I told myself, I said, why not revive this again? Let people, we start impacting in parents that, when a child has passion for something, give that child the opportunity. So we now took it like a school, and I took it upon myself to go around the country, identify most of these persons, and we decided to come together and form a band. So the band had its maiden show in the year 2000, and it was a mountain hotel. I want to tell you, if you came for that show, you could see elderly persons actually enjoying themselves. And before that launching, I started first of all testing my grounds with a program of old timers on radio. And when I did that program for 3 years running, it was like, hey Jomo, why don't you translate this thing into real physical action? Let's see ourselves dancing again. And I knew now that I'd had a catch. So put this band together, and we started off. We just named the band the Old Timers Band, and
Okay.
yes, and that band has been living, and the band is still alive. Many persons have gone ahead of us, but we make sure that when we lose a member, we try as much as possible to integrate, because we've been integrating some younger people into the group so that they could carry forth this philosophy. So we continue. Um, uh, just a few days ago, we were storming stage in Boya, and we still have many shows in our jackets, up our sleeves. That well, I'll be releasing the dates and the time and so on when it's just appropriate. So music as such, old timers as such, has been a passion from. I took you back to secondary school so that you could know how deep seated this passion is.
Correct. That has lasted with you all through these years. Yes, it has gone on with you all through the years. And you see some younger kids now, some people even my own age, they hear a song that somebody has gone and redone, and they are praising, giving that person all the praises for the song. And I'm going, no, that is a reproduction, a remixed version of the original thing. And they're going, are you sure? Like, thank God now there's Google and there's YouTube. I said, let's go look. This song was originally done by so and so person. Like, for example, the ex-Malaya song about Mbemba Mutasawa, that is a Bolatin song. And I'm going and saying, no, it's not ex-Malaya that they did a wonderful rendition of it, but the original song is a Bolatin song. Or Sharon Bangu that has done a Milkange song. Things like that. Or even the high life tunes, like Sawa Sawa Sawale, the original version is a high life tune, and then the popularized, more modern version of it came on out.
Done by Flavor. In fact, that was a high life tune. That was a high life tune released in 1965. We all danced to that tune. And like Bomba Billy would say, we're dancing to the tune of acrobatic jingoism. That is like, it is the children of today that,
Bomba Billy,
that have brought it on the scene.
Just mentioning the word Bomba Billy just cracks me up. The other day, you were talking about PYC dances, and I was cracking up because I follow what you write lately and what you post out there. Sometimes Invest in Limbe reposts them, so I get to see them there, or I see what you're doing on YouTube. Because for me, PYC, at a point in time when I was going to Seka, the home we lived in was just down the road, Church Street there, near the Apostolic Church. So PYC was like a backside house. Of course, I wasn't allowed to go to any of those dances, tea time dances. But as you're walking on the street, you'll see the little blackboard there that says tea time dance. I think the entry fee was 50 francs.
Then yes, it was, and you must know that for girls it was free. It was always written there, boys 100, girls free. And you might like to know why we always put the girls free. We put the girls free because the presence of girls in those parties made them worthwhile. That's why it was boys 100 and girls free.
Yes, and the girls are the ones that are less likely to be given permission to go anywhere. So
correct.
You said you're going to not get permission to go, and then you have to pay on top of it all. They're not likely to show up. So now that at least it is free, I still see those steps going up the thing to PYC. Oh my goodness, the Apagas and the Salamanders on their way there. Oh Lord.
In fact, that was a soul theater. We used to call it the soul theater.
Oh my goodness, I hope I'm not losing you again because you're freezing a little bit.
The student groups that existed at the time, they went through there. Count the groups in Victoria.
Right.
Yes, take like the groups in Victoria, the Hackets, Benjamin Sweets, and so on. The Sons of the Herrings that were in Victoria. You come to Kuma, yes.
Wow, that was really something, because there was what they called the tea time dances.
Yes, you're talking about Brandon.
Okay, I think there's some. Let me pause it again.
Okay.
Yes, you're talking about groups and mentioning the names of some groups that were just making me smile there, because we used to hear about those names. Of course, we never went at my age then. Who's going to let you go watch anything? So we only used
Yeah,
to.
you had those, like I was saying, you had those top groups like in Bilingual College. You had the Funkies with lead guitarist at Remuna. You had of late Noko Wane, at Jojo Sieni at the drums. You had quite a good number of them out there, and Kemta Emmanuel in the Funkies. You had the young boys who were coming up at the time, the top pops. You're talking of Late Mbile, you're talking of George Okang, you're talking of Mukube, you're talking of Beto, you're talking of Beaching. That was the top pops. Then if you went over to Victoria, you had like the Hackets, and the Hackets, Dr. Keita, whose father owns City Hotel, Benjamin Street. This was this boy living out in Embassy Bay, and late Nat Ewusi. That was then Endely Charles. You are talking about the Hackets, Ebenezer Isuka, and then when you talk about the Broadway Junior, you're talking about myself. You're talking about Dr. Epa, Emmanuel Shallow, Christian Fombard, Julius Fomian, Joe Zege, and quite a good number of them. You went to Kumba, you had groups like the Soul Crystals, Dominic Fonkwa, Ben Futu, Ayom, who were running the Flames. Jim Kwanyo, you surely know that name, Jim Kwanyo. Jim Kwanyo was a lead guitarist for the famous Flames of Sacred Heart. Jim Kwanyo was playing with Jongu, Makoge, and so on. And then in CPC, so you talked of San Vala Funkem, they had the lights of CPC. Then you were not to know that the guy who played for Love, Ginger Forcha, he was one of those schoolboy groups. He was in CPC Bani, and their group was a big one, known as it was such a big one, Clifford Array, Nokombele of the Beatles. Yeah, these were the names. Epi Mukete, who was also a very wonderful guitarist, Ete Nasukwo. These were all guys, you could see them crisscross halls in Victoria and Kumba, and sometimes in Boya, in the Prisons Club in Boya. So a bunch of them are still alive. Roy Matute, then Pickett, you must have heard of Mukube. He worked with Alukam, he was with Pickett, and Roy Matute, Ngongi, Barrister Ngongi Komi. These were all guys with top groups those days. So you could hardly have students rest any Sunday because the groups were always there,
Which was good, a good pastime, as they say, all work and no play makes Jack or Jill a dull boy or girl. So those are things that you went to do, living your youth, that you can now look back on and reminisce and say, those were the days, because those really were the days. No offense to the modern things, the Afro beats and all of that stuff now. I like it too, but there's something about those tunes of those days. People had songbooks, right? They actually been sold some that you could buy, but if not, you yourself sat down and listened to the radio or listened to your cassette and wrote down the lyrics, wrote down the words yourself. And then you would, when the cassette days, you actually will rewind so you can hear it again and write down the words. Heaven knows that since I've been out here now and I've been able to go and Google, I've seen that some of the things that I used to sing, let
me just interject there. When you are talking about some of the things, you would have asked me the question as a vocalist, because I was lead vocalist for all my bands. How were you getting the words? How did you know? Even though there were record songbooks, some of those soul songs were not in record soul books. And then how were you getting James Brown? In fact, it was a matter of sound. In most of the stations, hey, get it there, hit it there. I want to do it. I want to cry out, Yeah. So you would not even know what James Brown is. Not that the lyrics, have come out very clearly. But we're able to know. I see some of the songs I was singing and sending people mad and wild. I look at them. I am like, hey, what was I really singing?
What they said, this is what the actual words were, but you're just making sounds and noises as you say. You yourself.
I want to tell you that I got the real lyrics for Fuel for Love. I got the real lyrics for Fuel for Love some 10 years back. That is a song we started singing in 1971.
We understand it.
But I got the real lyrics from the author himself, Ginger Forcha, when he joined us, the Old Timers Band, for a show in Kuma in 2010. That
Didn't
is
even
when I
know.
asked him, I said, write here on paper what you were saying in that music, in that song. Yeah, I want you to be my. You just follow and write. But there were some sentences he wrote. I was
Right.
very
I don't
amazed.
know till today what I would be. I
I
would be
was
curious
very
to know.
amazed.
Yeah, I'll be curious to know
Yes.
what say. Because you just say something. Because that sounds that fits the music there. But we're like, what did he just say? But like, who cares?
Okay, let me just ask you something. When James Brown said, hit it, hit it, hit it,
Yes.
what did you know he was talking about? But when we heard him say, hit it, you just write that, hit it, you know. And when you come on stage and you repeat that, oh my God, people say that boy know that song badly,
Exactly.
you know.
Because we know exactly the part that you are singing, even if you're not saying the actual words, but we know the song. Look at like how many of us can speak Yoruba, but who did not sing Shakara Oloje? Whatever saying there in between the thing that Oloje, till this day I don't know what Oloje is, but we just sang the songs. If it comes to that, even if it came to in Cameroon there, you sang Douala songs. How many of us know exactly what we're even singing? It's my mother. My mother would say, "Shut up, don't sing that song," and we don't quite know why, because she's fluent in Douala, and you're singing something which is just terrible. And she's saying, no, don't sing that one, but we don't have any clue why we're not singing it. We just sang anyway, because the melody was there and the rhythm was
let me just give you another anecdote. There was this very popular song because we had our band in the university called The Lost Origins, and we were determined to play Makosa songs. Okay, I was singing, and I would sing this song by Toto Guillaume. Akwelinde, Akwelinde, Mutaibiye. Ask me what they were saying there. I wouldn't even tell you, but I would just listen to him and write down. You know, it's it's unlike now that in our band we say, okay, let's go closer to the lyrics. And Patience is so guys, one of our vocalists, she will sing in pure Douala and give you the right meaning. But you will imagine that I was singing even Bikusi. I was singing Bikusi, serious Bikusi by Bessie Martin, and people were dancing like mad.
Yes.
You know.
What you just mentioned him now, and the song came through my mind there. There was a Sherry Emilienne.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, Sherry Emilienne. And then there was Amundse, the very popular one he had. Amundse.
Yes. You see, at the time I grew up there, you don't know. I have to tell you this a little bit. Those songs, they would have a band at the back of a tipper like a truck. The bride and groom will be in the back of the truck with the band. The band is drums and everything in the back of the tipper. Then, no, the bride and groom would be on the road, dancing away with the white dress and the man in the suit, dancing on the road, and then bridesmaids and everybody are following behind. We would be following them almost like the Pied Piper, the kids that follow the Pied Piper. They're playing and going down and playing that exact song you're talking about right there. And the whole quartier is up in joy, enjoying somebody else's marriage, just as the days. Now, with all the Okadas and everything, it cannot happen. The streets are too congested. But back in that day, I'm talking about the early 70s. Those are the kind of things that we used to see and observe right there. Les Vétérans, a club the group that used to play those way before the Ted Brûlé came. I'm talking about as you said, the Missy Martin, right?
Yeah, Le Veteran, you're correct.
Yes,
you're correct.
That used to have there. It was okay. Another language that we used to sing songs in, all of us, with even nobody to tell us what on earth we're singing, is the songs in Lingala. You're singing the Makambomi Mbale, and you don't know.
And you would, of course.
Yes.
Of course. I was singing Asda.
Oh,
you
yes.
know, and you would not even, you wouldn't even, then Tambula Namokili was one big one who was singing, but if I asked you the meaning of what you were saying, you would not even.
No. You get to the point and say, oh, Mado.
Yes.
By that Koto Bass came and did the Mado again, okay, Mado. The original thing, no, this is not the original. The original thing was a thing.
No, the other thing was done by Franco and the OK Jazz.
OK Jazz. There was Rochero, there was Tabule. All of those people will be saying Kafumaya, the Kafumaya. What do you know? Some people were saying, you fool my eye. How can it be fooling your eye? It was, I mean, those days were something. I cherish them. And one reason I'm glad that technology is here now is because you can actually go to YouTube and play and find some of those songs. I just bless the people who are uploading them to YouTube so we can listen to them and hear them again, and it brings back memories. Almost all of these songs, you play it or you sing it, and you have a memory that matches it. You can remember what class you were in, either what party you were at, or something like that. It's like the highlight of our lives. Yeah, I have something coming in right now. You want to check and see? Are we good?
Yeah, we are good.
Everything okay? So I was saying that sometimes music is the storyline of everybody's life. You hear a song, you hear a jingle, and it reminds you of something or somewhere or someplace or some event. You say, okay, this is a song that they played when we were getting married back in so and so year. But this is a song that was played in my birthday back at so and so time. So music is really important, and this music that you're doing with the members of this band is a good thing to revive our memories. But lately, you've been doing something about Victoria, remembering Victoria. Can you tell us about that? You've been producing little short, I would say, videos about Victoria. I think you did one about lately about the sports, even about people themselves. Let me stop this a little bit so you can let me do the pause.
They're calling me for another meeting because I told them we're just at 4 sharp. It'll be 1 hour. So that if we can round it, I'll be grateful. Yes. Okay, but I must answer this question.
Yes, I'm going to tell us about this thing you're doing. Yes.
All right. You know, it ties with my passion from even from childhood, right, secondary school. I've always been interested in ensuring that we keep records.
Right.
It has been a passion from childhood. Right from Sase College, I was very, very noted for that, for keeping, So all along my career, what I've been doing is placing an emphasis on the fact that we need to keep archives, we need to keep records. If you look at a lot of my programs I've been doing since 1980, most of them deal with archives. And that is why I had this program on Cameroon calling the grapevine. The grapevine was reminiscing on what the experiences we had in the 50s and the 60s, all because I thought there should be a record. There should be a record somewhere. We build the present and the future from the past. So it has been my passion since the early 80s. So if you look at all of my programs, that is what characterizes a lot of my programs on Luncheon Day, on Cameroon Calling, on music, and so on. So then on sports especially. So this passion is just a continuation. And I thought that I should take it into different aspects, my own way of trying to preserve our heritage. So that is why I've been doing a lot on my YouTube channel about sports of the yesteryears, and that's why I call it Sports Archives. I tell you something even about social life, madam. I have worked a lot on issues about social life. Let me just give you a little example, an anecdote. The one on sardine, the myth of sardine, the miracle of sardine those days. You could imagine for you to have a taste of sardine in the 60s. Any boy who was seen with sardine was known to be a thief, So I've been trying to catalog all of this, and it's just a continuation of what.
Yes, of what you've been doing. I think you froze again for a minute. And I wanted you to tell us where to go find the things, but if you cannot come on back, then I'll just do that for you. So if you went. Okay, welcome back, and sorry for all the glitches we've had. You could see there were a lot of internet network Wi-Fi issues that our guest, NJOMO Kevin, was facing. But what I was trying to get him to do, because towards the end of the program, was to tell us where to go find these little things that he has archived, where they are. Okay, he's back on now, so you can do that.
Yeah, so yeah.
So I was trying to let our listeners and viewers know.
So yeah,
go find cataloging.
Yeah, so if you talk about like I said, I have been cataloging a lot about the past. So this is just a continuation. And I sat down, I looked at my archives. I had so much about Victoria. at this age now, 70 going up, I told myself, I'm not wishing to go away now. I would be ready to live up to 100. But it gets to a point you must face reality. I turned and looked at my archives. I saw a lot about Victoria. And I said, to whom will I hand this? Why don't I clear it off my archives and give this to kind of giving back to my community? So that is what I'm doing. And it is just the beginning of an exercise about towns. I was born and bred in Kuma.
Right.
I'm known everywhere as a K-Town boy, even though I lived in Victoria. But this Victoria is just a tip of the iceberg. Kuma is going to be explosive. So the Kuma people should just keep their fingers crossed. And when I start telling my story about Kumba, like Mabanda Water, where in those days in the 60s, we had never heard about anybody who has a PhD. And because we knew that before you had a PhD, you had to be a madman. And one madman in Kumba got a PhD, that is late Dr. Bokosa, and we knew that he had PhD in something very terrible in physics. Hey, and the way he was behaving, we said it is just obvious because he had to be mad with a PhD in physics. He comes from Mabanda Water, he stops traffic, and he is looking down at the stream flowing, and everybody stops, nobody grumbling. The people leaving Kuma to Manfred, they all come down from their vehicle. The people coming from Manfred, they all come down from their vehicle and watch this mad scientist is, turning his fingers and looking at it, and everybody's marveling and says he is calculating the velocity of the stream. And people start clapping for him when he comes and he's going in the vehicle. That is just a tip of the iceberg. My story about Kumba is coming. But Victoria continues.
Yes. You did one about the zoo, and I thought about Jacob the monkey that was in that Victoria.
Exactly.
That we all knew about, and his banana. Yes, the whole idea. So no. That is a very good thing. And for those who haven't heard or don't know about this, if you went to YouTube, just put in his name, NJOMO Kevin, you're going to find those clips, the short clips about them, different facets of life in Victoria that you'll be very interested in looking at, to just know the history. You did one on beauty queens, the beauty queens. There, I saw that one too. You did the one on sardines. You did the one on, of course, the PYC, the zoo, and all the clubs, the PowerCam and everything. And that's why I'm particularly happy to see that, because I am the kind that likes to archive as well. I've done the same for my alma mater, Sika Baptist College, and other things. And the other businessmen that were in Limbe, that the icons that made things, that made the town, that made the city, from Menemo, Lake Donangu, to Pafamukong, who just passed away, to Pananga, Che Company Limited. Those are the names, S Kilo, those are the names you heard. Even as you were growing up, people who, or the late architect, Manga.
Pandi for.
Correct, Pambukala, there in nurses' quarters and everything. Those are the people that made up that society, the businessmen that were the buttress of the whole town. We knew, or even Popular Satana, the taxi driver that had a special taxi cab that actually had black curtains in the thing. Those are particular things. Or the Rivoli Cinema right there, where you went to watch all this, what we call Bollywood now, the Pia songs, those things, Django, the actors, you call everybody, say that the actor, like as if everybody else in the movie wasn't acting. You say, so the actor did this and the actor did that. What you mean was the main actor. But you're just saying actor toxic, and so, and you forget that the other people are not actors too. But those are the things we used, all those parades, much past in the community field or Centenary Stadium. Those were the days. And so we thank you for actually trying to archive all of that for us. So I'll give you the last one and then we close so you can go and do your other activities. Sorry for the huge delays. We started almost an hour late because we were having all the technical difficulties. But I'm so glad you persisted and came to do this. So you have the last word. You have the last word and close us out.
All right. I want to thank you very sincerely. I think you've made my day, and it will be a different position the next time. You'll be on the answering end, and I'll be on the questioning end, because I will want to, while reminiscing on Victoria, I would actually like to talk about Seka Baptist College and talk about those popular names like Miss Binder and so on. And you know, Sase boys can be very passionate about Seka girls. you had a song. So I said, boys are running around. So you will put you on the other side, one of our conversations, and we'll be talking about SECA. We'll be talking about graduation ceremonies. People might not know. That's one thing I want to push straight forward to the public. That if you are talking about graduation, it originated from SECA Baptist. So we'll be talking about all of that. I'm very grateful you gave me this opportunity.
Ready, willing, and able. Anytime. Just name the date and time. I'll be there ready with the pictures and everything. Was the first graduation.
Thank you.
The names that were coming to the thing. It was A.G. Mengot back in the time. Augustine Gomjua. Those are the people you see it in the program. Those are who was invited. I have a copy of that program here that I can actually show you.
Okay.
The class coming in. So ready anytime. And thank you. Thank you so much for everything. So
thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. And thank guy there, I think it's Brandon, for doing
It's Brandon, yes. Brandon he has put me through a school. He still has to teach me a lot. This is the first time I'm going on Zoom in this format. Wow. And I want to say thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So all the best to you then. All right, just to close off, he had to go. My apologies for the little glitches and places that maybe you were not able to hear very clearly, but that was the best we could do. For me, I'm overjoyed to have had him on the show to start with. And as you said, he's going to be back again some other time when he starts the Kumba series of things. And as I told him, I'd be glad to do the SECA part of things, reminiscing. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Be it on the radio or be it on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been EGBE MBIWAN MONJIMBO coming to you on VOSAWORLD Radio or VOSAWORLD TV on YouTube. And thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being faithful fans of the Musings and Music Show. Take care now. God bless you all. See you next time.